Hey guys, welcome to TST Garage. I'm Bart. In the studio with me today is a beautiful 2024 Gen 4 Yamaha MT-09. On this particular bike, we still have the stock controls, so the levers are as delivered from the showroom. For myself, these are somewhat incompatible with my hands. I have very large hands, and the way my hands lay on the controls, these just seem very, very crude. They also look pretty crude. What's nice about them is that they come adjustable right from the factory. However, I find that the adjustment range is just not right for me. And I've also had somebody with smaller hands test this thing, and it also falls out of range for them. So we got together with Womet-Tech and we designed the appropriate hardware for this bike. These are the Evos Levers from Womet-Tech. They are constructed of CNC machined 6061 aluminum. They're anodized black, and they come by default with a red anodized adjuster set. If you like a different adjuster color, we do have those sold separately on our website, and we do have a video arming you with the knowledge on how to replace that so you can customize the color scheme to your bike. Now, these are very nice looking. However, the main feature that I like about these is the shape of the lever. They are quite a bit shorter than the OEMs, so in the event of a fall, you are less likely to break them, resulting in you being able to pick up the bike and keep going. They also have 6 levels of adjustment, and each one of these clicks has a pretty nice step up. So on the lowest setting, you'll actually be able, if you have smaller hands, you'll actually be able to reach it a little bit better. But on the highest setting, somebody with giant mitts like mine will find it nicer for the ergonomic feel of those controls. The set of levers that you see here is brake and clutch side. This is how we sell them. We do not sell them separately. If you go down and need a separate unit or some parts, we typically do a custom order for you so that you don't have to buy a whole set again. So we support you that way really nicely. Anyway, that's all I have to say about the parts themselves. Now we're gonna jump into the installation process. Let's swipe this table out of the way and let's get going. In the first step, we will be removing the OEM clutch lever. First step for that will be to loosen the adjuster. If the larger flange nut of the adjuster does not move for you by hand, you can use channel locks or pliers. Ours is loose enough that I was able to just crack it loose by hand. Turn it all the way in to put some slack on the cable, and then we will need to back it off to the location where we could align all the slots. The slot in the outer adjuster, the nut, and the perch and the lever need to be in line and collinear. Next step will be to remove this lower nut here from the pivot point. I'm pointing to the nut. It requires a 10mm socket. Once that nut comes out, we will use a 4mm Allen or hex key to remove the pivot point. There's a 4mm Allen accepting feature in the head. As soon as this comes out, I like to clean it off. It does have grease on it. It is a bearing surface, so we'll clean off the old grease and put some new grease on there before reassembly. Now the whole lever is wobbling around. If you just push it out, the plunger button that engages with our reed switch pusher just pops out, and then the lever just pops out like so. We're able to get that out of all those slots that have been aligned. We will flip this over, get the cable out of the channels in the lever, and now this comes out. We bring our new lever into view. I'm gonna put a little bit of grease inside the bearing surface for the pivot and also on the contact faces that go into the perch and rotate within it. All of these are bearing surfaces that will be sliding on. Get that pivot point in there. I just put some grease inside that hole, so I'm gonna distribute that all around. And now we can go in the reverse order of disassembly. Get the cable in and seated. Flip that back over. Get the cable through all the adjustment mechanism and the perch itself. And here, before we get this into the perch here, we need to make sure that we don't shear off this button. It is sticking out quite a bit. If you were just to push this lever in, you will likely just shear this guy. So we need to depress it and then bring the lever up above it so that it stays engaged and stays in. And while holding it in this configuration, we're gonna find the hole through the lever, put the pivot in, and then I will find the threads at the bottom of this connection and start threading this in. Once the threads are engaged, we'll bring it down all the way to the bottom, tighten it down, and now the nut will need to be re-engaged onto these threads. This perch and the reed switch button, they do not leave a lot of maneuverability in there, so it's a cumbersome fit. You can do it. Another method to get this done is to back out on the pivot bolt just a little bit, couple turns, and then start turning back in to engage the nut, and then go back to the bottom out position. And now we're going to tighten that nut all the way down. The nut itself is a lock nut, so we just need to engage it all the way to the bottom, give it a quarter turn, and now it'll stay locked. And now you have this lever a little wobbly because there's plenty of cable slack in there, so we want to adjust the cable slack. Typically, I leave just a little bit of slack in the cable to make sure lock to lock on the steering, there is no tension exerted on that cable. If there were to be any tension exerted on it, then you run the risk of having, when you're in gear and the clutch is in, your clutch may still be disengaged enough to cause a little bit of damage to the clutch. So we want to have a little bit of slack to make sure that there's no pull on that cable in any of the extreme steering conditions. All right, I have enough slack here. I'm going to lock it down. Now, the last part of this installation is the adjustment of the actual lever from the bar. That typically, I like to put it in the middle and then go for a ride and test it and just go on a side street somewhere where there's no traffic, and I get plenty of calm riding to get my hand adjusted to the new configuration and then get it dialed into the perfect distance from my hand. But like I said, that happens at the very end. So let's jump on the right side and do the brake. On the brake side now, we will start the process by removing this nut here. It is also a 10mm size, so it's the same socket as on the clutch side. Once the nut's out, we use that same 4mm Allen to remove the pivot bolt. Right after removal, I will wipe off the old grease. Same procedure really. Now our lever is free from the master cylinder. However, here the actual plunger that interfaces with the cylinder piston is still captured within the rubber boot. So I will gently pop the boot off of that plunger. Well, technically, if you yank it hard enough, this whole boot will come out, and it's a pain to get it stuffed back in there, and you need an appropriate tool. So I like to be very gentle and hold against the flange of this rubber boot here and then pull, and then it comes off pretty easily. Reinsertion is also pretty easy on this, so no big deal. Now this lever does come off in a chunk. There is a bearing surface in here, there's a bushing that holds the inner part of the lever and the outer part together, along with capturing the plunger itself. We need to extract the plunger, so we will need to go to our bench, knock out this bushing, and then get the parts that we need for reinstallation on the bike. We're going to come to a surface to work on at this point because we have to disassemble this lever into two components. This inner pivot component and the outer lever body will need to come apart so that we can extract our piston engagement mechanism. For that, I will be using a larger socket that has a big hole through it. This will be the surface that I'm going to be knocking out this bushing through. I just have another socket, random socket that will hold it for me when I'm not holding it. I have a 7mm deep socket for a 1/4 inch drive. Not every single brand of this socket will work. You just have to make sure that your socket is just slightly smaller than the outer bushing diameter, and that will permit you to pound this through. I do have better tools that are more well suited for knocking out bushings, but I realize most people don't have that in their arsenal, so I'm going to do the process and perform the process with the simplest possible tools that you will find in your toolbox. Let's knock this thing out. I tap lightly so that it progressively gets out without damaging. Okay, bushing's out. Now, as we take out the socket, these two pieces will separate. There is a spring loading this component against this component here, so make sure you hold it or use eye protection or something so you don't get a spring shot at your eyes. All right, now all of these components are separate. We are going to put away this component, and this one, spring goes as well, and now we reuse these components. I'm going to clean off our bushing, clean this guy off, get some new grease applied. Since our pivot bolt engages with the inside of that bushing, I'm going to clean off the pivot bolt as well. And I'm going to use that pivot bolt to distribute that grease inside that bushing. Gonna get this guy greased up just a little bit. Just a little superficial grease. Make sure the surfaces are slidey and don't have a lot of friction. All right, let's grab our lever here. The bushing will go in the main pivot hole, and we will have to tap this guy in. For that purpose, I will grab our socket again. This time I'm going to line it with a cloth because I don't want to damage the surface. To make sure that the bushing actually is coplanar. The face of the bushing is coplanar with this face and also on this face. That feels good in here. Our piston engagement mechanism is going to fit into this slot. When the lever is not mounted into the master cylinder, it does have a lot of play in it. Once it's mounted in there, it'll be nice and secure. Let's get that over to the bike and start the installation process. All right, with our lever pre-configured with the bushing already knocked in and our plunger in hand, plunger will fit in here, and then we will make the assembly. Before I do that, I would like to take this opportunity to get some grease on our bearing surfaces and into the bushing. Pretty much follows the same procedures that I used on the other side of the bike. I got my pivot bolt in there, distributing the grease, and now this is good to go. I'm gonna pre-assemble the plunger element in here. Now I'm gonna hold it like this with this hand pressing my thumb into it so it's secure and held in place. I will align that plunger with the hole here. This next step is pretty delicate because we need to push this entire assembly in so that the resting surface here of the hole of our boot rests in between these two features. That is where it needs to end up. This bushing needs to become concentric with the pivot hole, and at the same time we need to make sure that we dodge the reed switch button with this surface here. If we were just to push it in again, we would probably strain it. So let's be very careful there. Make sure we don't mush that. I like to press it with my fingernail so that it's depressed and out of the way. And then as I push this entire assembly in, the boot snaps onto its resting surface and my holes become concentric. I can get my pivot bolt in here and get it engaged. Now it's going to require a little bit of pressure in this direction for the holes to actually stay concentric, for this to penetrate through. Now I could use that 4mm Allen to engage my threads. Once I bottom out here, I'm going to grab the nut, get that threaded on. Now this nut does have one side that has 3 tangs. That is the lock side. The other side is flat. Make sure the flat part goes up against the surface that it will be seating on. So flat part first. Tighten the nut. Make sure not to over tighten, because if you over tighten this connection, it may compress the surfaces that hold the lever and make it stick. You don't want a sticky brake. All right, we're looking pretty good here. There's a rubber boot here in this area that needs to be managed in a way that it doesn't interfere with the bottom of the lever. Now I have the lever riding just on top of it, so no big deal. That's all good. Wipe off any excess grease. Do a safety check. Make sure that this is actually engaging your brake. You don't want to get out there, start riding, and have a problem where your brake doesn't actually work. All right, now we're back to that adjustment method. You have 6 different steps, lowest being for smaller hands, highest being for giant mitts like mine, and then somewhere in between for your best ergonomic comfort that you will find by riding and then experimenting with it. Just make sure you do it in a safe environment. All right, job's done. In about 10 minutes, I was able to change the full lever set from the OEMs to these nice low profile shorty lever type. I really like these components. They really do drive better with my hands. My ergonomics are much more compatible with these shorter guys and one of those adjustment levels. If you like what you see here, check out tstindustries.com. We have these parts ready to go. We also have a whole host of different parts and a growing catalog for this particular bike, so check us out. We also have parts for other bikes that you may have in your stable, so tstindustries.com is where you'll find all of this stuff. Hit like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Ride safe.